thing. A lot of times when I tell my story, I start from the beginning because I want to explain some of the challenges I went through. And I think that depresses some people. So I'm not going to do that today. I'll start with the ending so you know it has a happy ending. And then I'll explain the starting position for those people that think it's impossible or it was easier to do back then or you're just lucky. But if you want to retire early, it's because you want to do things like I've done in the last couple of years. My name's Dion. I retired in 2022. I've been retired for almost 2 years. And now I do anything I want every day. I didn't retire to do nothing. I retired to do anything. That tends to be a lot of scuba diving, a lot of travel. I've spent time in Portugal. I'm going to be spending time in Thailand. I made money not matter to the point where I purchased this place that I'm in, all cash, live here without a mortgage. And I'm not stupid. I didn't buy a house. I bought a duplex. Both units have the same view. And I rented out the other unit so that somebody pays me to live where I do, so that I can do those things like travel and enjoy life and do anything I want every day. Like spend some time every week trying to convince people like you that it's possible. That's my goal. Let you know that the average individual can reach financial freedom in 10 years or less, make work completely optional, even if you're not starting from the best position. So that then you can choose a job you love instead of one you have to do for the money. But a lot of people want to retire early or have a better financial future. They want the outcome. They don't want the process. You have to want the process. You can hate the process, but you have to want it. And I talk about 3 main ways of reaching financial freedom, retiring early. So if you're lazy like me, you never work again. Or if you want, you can then go do that job that you love and not worry about what it pays or volunteer your time. The first way, one of the first ways you can reach financial freedom, that bird better not do anything on me. That was a fun video. Is to start and grow a business. People would love to have a business in place, right? I worked at a CDL school for the last decade of my working career, and a lot of people envied the owners, right? They lived in another state. They had somebody running the day-to-day. They didn't have to go into the office every day, and they made a lot of money. They impacted a lot of lives. But nobody wants to work to save the hundreds of thousands of dollars to then put at risk at buying a business they don't know anything about just so that they can help people get a CDL to get a better job and better their life. To take the risk of hiring and training staff, taking somebody like me and educating me to run the business, demoting me all the way down to president of the company and then taking that risk on me. People want the outcome. They don't want the process. If you want to do something like what Joe Kuhn does, he's also somebody who retired at 54 instead of 52. In his 50s, he retired, made work completely optional, and now he spends his time here on YouTube. It's Joe Kuhn, Kuhn. He used the stock investing method, right? He used the buckets method to make sure that he is secure and can actually retire going into a recession and not have a problem with it. And people want the outcome. Joe can travel and spend time with his friends and family. He could take time to grow a YouTube channel and teach people how to invest in stocks, how to mitigate risk, how to plan for a better future. But do you think people want to do what he did to invest in stocks, right? Climb the corporate ladder, train himself, educate himself on Lean Six Sigma and all the other things it took to get into a position where he can make enough money to invest in stocks. So not only make enough money, but then not take a lot of vacations and not get the fancier car and the bigger house until he had put a lot of money into work in stocks. Take all that risk on how the stock market works, but to educate himself on that buckets method and how to diversify to protect his investment. None of that sounds like fun. People want Joe's outcome. They don't want his process. If you want to retire early, you have to want Joe's process. And then I'll talk about my own situation. I didn't invest in stocks because I never really made enough money. Most of my working career, I never made more than $60,000. I'd worked in law enforcement, been a Marine, been a truck driver. In the last 10 years, I was a CDL instructor. The last couple of years, I did make a lot of money because the owners realized I was making more money with rentals, so they should pay me enough to try to keep me around. And as much as I love them and love the job, time freedom won out even over money. Because when you don't have enough, money is everything. And when you do have enough, money is just a thing. People want my outcome, right? I have 18 rental units. I spend about 2 hours a month self-managing my rentals. You can hire a property manager and spend about 2 hours a month managing a property manager. I have a bit over $20,000 a month I have to figure out how to spend because I had a decade of living frugally. And so I'm learning how to spend money now that I don't have to focus on investing and saving. And I can travel and do anything I want. I wake up on a Thursday at whatever time it is to come out here and do a video to help you understand that you can have a life like this where you can travel anywhere you want and money is not a factor. Yes, there are people who $20,000 a month would not be enough, but I live on less than 5. So those months where I take 15 and I figure out how can I spend this to have more fun this month, just because I don't want to save. I don't want to invest. I did not become an investor to invest. I became an investor so I can have financial freedom. And financial freedom means doing anything I want, anytime I want to. That's the outcome a lot of people would want. Now, a lot of people would never want to own a rental. I get it. Start and grow a business. Watch Joe Kuhn. Educate yourself on other ways to make work optional. Here's the process. Right? I lived in a house on a lake, single parent with 3 kids. I've been laid off from law enforcement. I got a job at a CDL school making $17 an hour. Found out about $89,000 in bad debt in my name. Now, a lot of people would sit there and think, I've got $89,000 in bad debt. I'm only making $17 an hour. I'm trying to raise 3 kids. Life sucks. I'm a victim. What I did, after talking to a lender and finding out that my debt to income ratio made it basically impossible for me to buy any rentals, was I moved from my house into an apartment. Rented my house out for 2 years to get rental income on my tax returns so that my debt to income ratio wasn't a barrier. People want the outcome. Would you do the start of the process? Would you downgrade your living conditions to better your financial future? After 2 years of saving and working overtime and playing World of Warcraft and selling things online as a side hustle, I scrimped and saved up to where I had $28,000. I still had a lot of bad debt. I was focusing on the worst debt. So I was paying down high interest debt and any debt with an adjustable rate. But I wasn't making extra payments on low interest debt that I didn't know about until the divorce. Yet, I bought a duplex. So I went from a house to an apartment to a duplex. Are you willing to do that? Now, we had our own rooms. We had our fenced yard. We had our own garage. It's just like living in the apartment, except we got to screen and place the tenants. And now I had to maintain a house and a duplex, raise kids, and work full time. This is the process. And no, when I moved into the duplex and I started saving an extra $1,200 a month because it lowered my housing costs, I didn't add that to my spending and go do more fun things. I saved for another 2 years to buy another duplex. And then because of the income snowball, those cash flowing assets starting to produce more money, I invested in a year and a half and bought the next duplex. Then I made a huge mistake and paid off a house. My lowest amount mortgage with my highest interest rate made sense. I don't regret it, but it was a financial mistake. Then I house hacked a 4-plex. So now I'm 8 years in to investing because I didn't start until I was 40. So at 48, I move into a 4-plex. I now have more neighbors than I did when I was in the duplex. This is the process. What it took for Joe to save and invest and have the discipline to put money into his retirement accounts, to grow a stock portfolio and to learn and educate himself on how to diversify and understand that buckets method so that he can retire with confidence, is the process. All of the risks it takes to start and grow a business is the things that most people aren't willing to do. To invest in real estate, yeah, it's not for everybody. And it helps to do things like develop the binder strategy where I get my tenants to ask me to raise the rent. That actually helps make it easier being a buy and hold investor. And all of my properties are from the MLS, all with conventional loans, except for this last one, where because I don't want to be an investor anymore, the money built up and I just bought a place all cash. Didn't have to, but it was and actually that happened in 2023 and I retired in 2022. So it was after reaching financial freedom, after quitting the W-2, that I just did this thing that most people don't understand. I purchased this house without spending any money. Actually, I think I spent money on an inspection and closing costs. So I spent a couple $1,000s. I moved my money. I had about $500,000 sitting in the bank because financial freedom sucks. And it's a problem you're going to have one day, as long as you listen to somebody like me or Joe or Azul or One Rental at a Time or Lumberjack Landlord or Millennial Mike, and you take our information and you put it to work in your financial journey. You will eventually have the problem of having to figure out what to do with your money. So my money sitting in the bank wasn't doing very much, but I take my money from the bank and I put it in this property. And now it's allowing me to live rent-free, mortgage-free, and collect rent from the other tenant. People want the outcome. I want you to want the process so that you can get the outcome. If you want your questions answered, I do my live streams every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and they usually go a couple of hours, and they last as long as the questions do. These ones I'm trying to do shorter videos for those people who would never click on a 2-hour video. And thanks for hanging out with me on this random Thursday. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.